What's going on, guys? For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, we're going to be talking about The Monkey, the brand new Osgood Perkins horror film straight from Neon. Did this movie live up to the hype, or did it utterly disappoint? That's what I want to get into here today. Now listen, just to give you guys like my personal expectations for this film, honestly, I was really excited for this movie. For those of you that actually have watched my channel before, you'll know that I am not a big horror guy. Like, I do like the occasional horror movie, but I rarely seek them out. But this one piqued my interest because of the fact that it had this ironic twist to it. It seemed more like a horror comedy than just like a straight horror, a straight slasher, paranormal film. It was just mixing a bunch of different genres together, and I was really interested to see what Osgood cooked up here, because Longlegs from last year did interest me, but I just didn't end up seeing it. Hopefully I'll check it out soon, but still, I was very excited to see what this talented director cooked up with this film here. But listen, did I actually enjoy the movie, or again, did it just disappoint me? Did I like the film? I think I definitely liked it. I didn't love it like I thought I would. I think it definitely has a couple of problems, but at the same time, it's not bad. I think it's really enjoyable, and it does something different. I want to start off with my pros here first, though. I think the first thing I gotta talk about is Theo James. He's pretty much like the only main actor in here besides maybe Tatiana Maslany, who plays his mother, but he's playing two roles, both of these twin brothers, and I think that he does a great job at distinguishing their personalities. From there, his line deliveries are hilarious, and we'll get to the tone in a second, but he just does such a great job at times when, you know, he needs to be funny, he needs to be scared, he needs to be dramatic. He just has all the acting chops, and I wish that we got to see him in more stuff. From there, just talking about the film as a whole, I love the tone of this movie because it's almost not even a movie. It's not like a normal story. It's told more in the sense of like a fable where everything is larger than life, and I like that. The dialogue is so weird, and I love it. The line deliveries are purposefully just, again, awkward, and they're just kind of like there to make you laugh essentially, but it's great. It's just absolutely awesome, especially because of the fact that this movie deals with death. That's a big factor in this movie. It's a big theme. It's an underlying, storyline, I guess you could say, through the entire film, that this monkey at random is basically just killing people. This is kind of where I start to get into my issues, though. And again, I'm going to kind of go back and forth between my pros and my cons, but I think that the first half of this movie and the second half of this movie are two completely different films, because the second half is a lot crazier than the first half. The first half is kind of like what the trailer advertised. It's like this paranormal slasher in a way, where this monkey is just killing people. The gore and the kills are insane. Some of the best you'll see this year. It's great, and they don't hold back. They show you just about everything, and some of these kills too are just really funny because, again, playing into that horror comedy element. I think Osgood Perkins, clearly that was his intention. From there also, I just feel like Osgood Perkins, when it comes to this film, even if I didn't love it, this is very clearly the movie that he wanted to make. You could just tell that his vision was directly what this film was. He wasn't held back in the slightest, and I really respect that. But getting back to what I was saying about the two halves of this film, first half, more of a paranormal slasher. Things are a bit more grounded. Still has the fable elements. Like, it's funny. It's just so weird. You're like, this is kind of interesting. There's this really interesting prologue showing Theo James as a kid, and also, both Theo James, because he plays both actors, but showing the brothers when they're kids and as they get older, what happens. But the second half of this movie, there isn't like a clear cutting point. There's maybe just like a 5 to 10 minute transitional period in the middle of the film. I just feel like the second half gets a bit too wacky and a bit too crazy for its own good. I appreciate the way that this movie commits to the bit. Like, it's going for the fable approach. It's trying to be very ironic and satirical. But at the same time, I think that sometimes there's a lack of, I guess you could just say, logic or common sense, to where I was like, and things were starting to confuse me, especially when it comes to the rules with the monkey, because I understand there's a monkey, like this movie is about a monkey that just kills people, right? It's like Final Destination. But at the same time, your own film has to establish a set of rules to follow to still make me believe what's going on. Like, if I'm watching a superhero movie and I'm watching The Flash run at 400 miles per hour, that completely makes sense, even though obviously that would never happen in real life. But if all of a sudden in the middle of the movie The Flash just starts flying, I'm gonna be like, wait, but that doesn't follow the rules of your universe that you created. In the second half, the rules of the monkey started to get really confusing because things that didn't line up with what they were saying earlier, basically they were just contradicting themselves, started to happen, and I was just like, wait, what? And it was just a bit confusing. I understand, again, it's going for a bit of like a looser plot, like hey, you just kind of have to believe what's happening here. But things do get a bit crazy. Speaking of crazy though, again, on the good side, the kills are insane. Like, I know I talked about the gore, but the kills are so funny, they are hilarious, they're wild, and we do crescendo to what I would say is a pretty epic moment. The only thing is, I don't know if I love the way that this movie ended, and there's some of the thematic elements in here that I don't know if they were nailed hard enough, quite honestly, especially because it feels like in the second half, we're not even focusing on the monkey at all, realistically. Like, we kind of are, but not in the killing sense. It's kind of more of just like this threat that we need to, stop, because naturally that's how every horror movie goes. But the focus, again, it was so heavy on the monkey in the first half. It was so terrifying and creepy. In the second half of this movie, it's really not that scary. It's kind of more just like an interesting, I don't want to say drama, but there's some action elements and stuff. But yeah, I just feel like it's one of these movies where the first half's a lot better than the second half. And I'm going to be honest, and I feel like a lot of you might feel this way too. I really like when films, if anything, have a better second half than a better first half, because if your first half is good, I could almost make the argument that it doesn't matter if your second half isn't good, because the second half is what we're ending on. So it does leave a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, but either way, this movie is absolutely awesome. Osgood was clearly making the film that he wanted to. It's gory, it's funny, it's hilarious. I think the thematic elements in here too, about how basically like life is just a joke at the end of the day, if you think about it. And also the fact that when people die, does it matter when? Because since everybody dies, why does it matter if I die right now or if I die in 80 years? If everyone dies, who cares? And especially the fact that everyone you know is going to die at some point. Does it matter when? Does it matter how? No, it doesn't. And I like how it plays into it in a funny, humorous way. So I do like the thematic elements in here. Again, I know I'm kind of bouncing back and forth here, but yeah, it was an enjoyable film. I think upon rewatch, I might like it a bit more. This movie is definitely not for everyone, though. I could see some people hating this. I could see some people giving this 5 stars. I think it's a swinging pendulum, but I do think I fit somewhere right in the middle. So if I had to give this film a rating, I think I'm going to settle with a 3 out of 5. I think sometimes, when it stays on the track of the monkey, I think it's pretty interesting, but it starts to derive from there. They go on a plot line with like a kid, and then this other sidekick to Theo James, one of the brothers, like friends or something. It just gets a bit wacky, it gets a bit loose, but honestly, it is a good time through and through. It was never boring, and I think that the tight, like 95, 98 minute runtime really made for an enjoyable, dense ride. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.